because I didn't even expect it. When I sent the email, I thought you just skim over it or something like that. So, yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to come on and share my thoughts.
Yeah, it's mad. So, first of all, why did you start with Ark on your channel? Why did you start recording it for you? Like, what was your personal reason for starting with recording Ark on your channel?
Yeah, well, so I would say probably the main reason I started with Ark is because I just it was the first game in quite a while that I would just sink hours and hours into.
Yeah.
I think probably by the time I started my channel, I had about, I don't know, maybe 2,500 hours in Ark, which was a big chunk for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just loved it, and it was the kind of game that there's a lot of nuance to it. There's a lot of things to learn. There's a lot, how there's different ways to tame. Every dino has its own style, its own use. It's so there's just a lot to it, and it just kind of felt like a good time to, or like a good game to kind of base my channel off of.
Yeah, that was kind of for me as well. I don't know. It came up. I wasn't the most experienced at it. I probably had like 800 hours or something like that, so I wasn't the best. But yeah, I started off with it. It seemed pretty cool. But
it's pretty funny that 800 hours is not considered like that much.
Yeah.
For any other game, like a couple hundred hours is a lot.
And for Ark, it's just nothing.
Yeah, that's a week.
Yeah.
200 hours.
There's a lot of grinding in it.
There is.
But yeah, go on.
If you enjoy like Ark and you have like if you like spending like quite a few hours just grinding out the same game, try Conan Exiles. I remember playing that it was about a year ago now, and I really enjoyed it. It's something that you just bury yourself into for a bit, and you just really end up spending more time with it than you intend to.
Yeah, Conan's a great game for that. I've played a lot of the survival genre, and definitely Conan is up there with Ark, I would say, in kind of that game, the kind of game that has a lot of nuance to it. Again, like Ark, where you have to figure certain things out for different types of things, like different areas of the map if you want to go get in certain types of thralls or whatever the case may be. So yeah, Conan's great for that as well.
Yeah, I've been looking at Rust recently. I haven't seen Conan, however you call it, but I've been looking at Rust, and right now it looks like a better game. I'm not too sure, but
yeah.
But yeah,
Rust is
so
great too.
Taking fact that you loved Ark, how did it get to the point right now where you're just basically not playing it all? Since it was like a year, did you say, that you haven't played it?
Yeah, I think it's been about a year since I played last. So I would actually say I still love Ark.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, the premise of the podcast that you kind of reached out to me about is Ark dying? And I guess my hot take is that I don't think it's actually dying. I think it's diminished a bit, but just to kind of check it out, I went out and looked on the Steam charts. And of course, this is just PC players. But Ark is always pretty much top 10 in top games being played
Steam?
by current players. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. Like as of right now, literally while we're recording it, I'll refresh the Steam charts. Ark is number 8. There's 101,000 players currently playing it.
Okay.
And so I would. So here's my take on Ark. I love so much about the game. Like I said, for Ark players, I'm just a drop in the bucket, but I've only put in about, I think I'm between 5,000 and 6,000 hours between all my different accounts.
Yeah.
It's there's so many amazing things about the game. It was really easy to fall in love with, and just sink so much time into. I can tell you, I have memories when the game first launched, before there was like 2 times weekends going on where you could, go run out and get like the dino that would normally take a long time. I remember taming a Quetzal that took hours.
Quest, jeez. I think I tamed like a trike or something. My first tame was a trike. I didn't go for a dodo or something. It was my yeah. It's changed.
I think trike was my first too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's changed a lot.
I remember sitting in the air because you'd have to build a trap on the back of another Quetzal, which somebody lent to me on the server because at the time there were no cross Ark server transfers.
Okay.
They unclaimed their Quetz. I claimed it, built a trap on it, and trapped myself a Quetzal because it was the easiest way at the time. And I remember it took 10 hours that I just sat
10
there.
hours. Did you feed it berries or something? Does it eat berries? No, it eats meat, doesn't it? Wait, no.
It ate meat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's one of those things that I think there's a lot of fun aspects to it that it's easy to fall in love with. So why is it diminished? I would say is that I would pretty much, I work in software for my day job. And so I don't want to point the finger too hard at the developers, but it's really, if you ask me, the reason it's not top 3 on the Steam charts is because the developers. Like there's been a lot of really poor decisions made, and that's really what turned me off to it.
So could you also say that a lack of representation there?
A lack of representation by whom?
By like advertisement and stuff, because the Ark community is quite a small community, so you could have, it's small in comparison to others. Maybe if it branched out a bit more, do you think it gain steam again? Do you think it just stay sort of where it is?
I don't know. It could if you go, out to like the Xbox store or Microsoft's website, or in fact, if you even go, I was looking at computer monitors the other day, and I looked on Dell's website. Like Ark is pretty much plastered on the screen of every monitor you might buy. So there's still advertising out there, but I don't know. It could be an advertising thing.
I think it's communication, because usually when there's something wrong with it, I think it was not long ago when they added extinction. Or an update, I can't remember what it was. It messed up something really bad, and people's bases just kept disappearing, and they didn't say anything about it. They just went quiet, and I think that's one of the reasons. So many things the Ark community has been asking them, they just silence. They don't say anything. They don't mention it, and even if they do, it's not even the full thing. If you know what I mean, it's
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. When things go wrong, there's usually a PR team and big companies that kind of step in to kind of take over the messaging. But that definitely doesn't come across with Wildcard as much. I would actually say one of the things too that kind of prevented the game from getting really big was something that happened early on in the kind of the release of Ark. And that's that the game was still technically in early access.
Oh yeah.
And they released a paid DLC, Scorched Earth. I downloaded it and I played the hell out of it, but I was still really kind of a little miffed that the game technically hadn't even been released and they were already working on something else to make money. So I think, and there's people that I know that I think would have loved Ark, but they were kind of turned off to playing it because they saw that.
Yeah. I swear there's loads of problems still with Ark that it's been all these years. Still when they released it, there's still the same kind of problems with it, and they just keep working on new DLCs and new updates and stuff. They don't the lag, for example. The lag is still there. Especially for Xbox. Jesus, yeah. I swear it's unplayable on Xbox. On unofficial, my god. You can't even build a foundation without rubber banding across the map. It's mad. So
Yeah, there's a lot of problems like that. In fact, I've heard people say it's like a game that feels like it was never really completed. It kind of still feels like it's in beta.
100%. I think it's. I don't think it's just the lag. I mean, a lot of people do complain about the lag, but I don't think it's just that. That's annoying. Obviously, there's meshing, loads of exploits, pretty much. Loads of glitches, exploits. Duping is still a problem, I think. Yeah, definitely that is. But yeah, there's loads of common exploits that still haven't been patched from day one. I mean, I don't know whether there's meshing in day one, but yeah, there's so many common problems, pretty much. Yeah.
Back a long time ago, there was duping too. I'm not sure if that still happens or if that's been a more recent thing as well. But yeah, there was ways you could put something in a box on the beach and like you could get it to duplicate, and so people were doing all kinds of things to dupe items, dupe kibble, so duping was a big thing back, I would say 4 or 5 years ago. And then of course, like you said, meshing. There's hackers and there's aimbotters. If you've played on any official, like
I don't really play official.
Yeah, I think probably I would say at least 3,000 of my hours have been on official servers, and yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on out there. So
yeah, it's yeah. So with all that, when do you think Ark will properly die? I mean, I don't think it's technically not dead yet, but when do you think it will get to the point where no one's really playing it anymore, or if it ever will?
I don't know if it ever will get completely. It'll completely die. I mean, look at games like Grand Theft Auto. Like people are still playing that like
people
crazy.
Are still playing like old
CS:GO.
Halo 2 multiplayer.
Yeah. Yeah. There's all kinds of games that just don't die, which is great. But at the same time, I actually predicted that Atlas was going to be the death of Ark. That was my prediction.
Yeah, that was a similar thing for me, actually, yeah. So
because to me, it seemed like they were kind of taking the A-team off of Ark and moving them over to Atlas, like the main game designers and the main developers. The community guy, Jat, kind of transferred over from doing the Ark, being the Ark community manager, to moving over to be the Atlas one. And then I played Atlas. The developers gave me a key to Atlas as well as all the latest DLCs. But at this point, I played Atlas. That was I played it for an hour or two. And granted, that's not really a long time to play a game, but and to really understand it. But it just was pretty much a straight copy of Ark with like new cosmetics and basically a different look,
boats and stuff. Yeah,
and then of course the ship mechanics. But to me, that's why I thought this was their sign that they were kind of just pulling resources off of Ark, and they were going to dedicate those development and support resources to a new game. But that wasn't the case. They've Ark has still been getting updates and stuff. So
yeah. I think Genesis is the recent DLC and a load of updates with that. Well, yeah. What would you say is the best option for Ark then, in terms of not dying and getting a better, what would you say, look to it? Like for new people, when they look at the game with all these problems going on, what would you say Ark should do to fix that?
That's a good question, and I by no means am I an expert in game development or anything like that. But a couple of the things I have a theory that Ark actually was never intended to be a PvP game. That's been my belief pretty much since I first encountered PvP, and it was such a poor experience. I mean, it's not like you go on like some like polished first person shooter and it's crisp, there's no lag, like things just work, and then you do it in Ark and it's just like people are lagging and they're rubber banding and sometimes, and then the hit rate sometimes just doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, man, that's so annoying when things don't render.
Yeah,
man.
Yes. So that was kind of my theory, is that I just think Ark, maybe they kind of put PvP in because it made sense, but it wasn't originally architected to be that way. That's my theory.
Yeah.
So I think they could actually. There's a whole range of people out there that have no interest in PvP, but would love to, have their own dinosaur. I mean, that's originally what it was for me when I first started playing the game. I didn't care about the PvP or anything. I was just like, hell yeah, I can tame a dinosaur. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Like I can have a T-Rex. Like so many cool like things about that. So I don't know. Maybe if they marketed it to people as like a single player game, or even as a game that you play with friends and tame dinosaurs and stuff, I think maybe that would help. But as far as the PvP kind of the core Ark community that exists today, I think they've pretty much, I think they've captured all those players that are possible.
I think with that PvP thing you said, where it's not meant to be PvP, that would be kind of interesting to see where Ark would be now if it, like, the PvP side never actually took off and everyone was playing PvE or something. That'd be interesting.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the game would have less players. There probably would be less players today, but maybe they would have sold more copies overall. I have no idea.
Yeah, Ark changes when you get into that PvP kind of thing and you start learning. It changes completely. It's like a different game. Like, the thing with me though, the thing I always have is Ark is looked at as a dinosaur game. It's looked at as a dinosaur game. If it's a dinosaur game, Ark hasn't released a real dinosaur in like 3 years, and
that's a good point.
Also, in raiding, when is it you use like a dinosaur for breaking into bases? It's just C4. Obviously, soaking you might use a trike, or like a rock golem isn't really a dinosaur, but you use creatures to soak in terms of helping, but you don't actually use it in the core thing of raiding, like beer running and stuff. You can C4 and that. So it's not, for me right now, obviously there's dinosaurs in it, but it's not really a dinosaur game, if that makes sense.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I played before Scorched Earth came out, and when Scorched Earth came out, there was kind of a big, like, there's like kind of a backlash from the community who were like, okay, wyverns, where did they come from? And these rock golems, where are they from? These aren't dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And jerboas and just all the stuff that comes with Scorched Earth. And it was kind of one of those things that I think, to me, it kind of felt like the Ark devs needed to, because there was a whole thing with the ownership of the company and all that, and it kind of felt to me like they were shifting from being a dinosaur game to trying to make as much money as possible. And to do that, they needed to start releasing DLCs. And with the DLCs, they needed to kind of come up with new creatures and fantastical creatures like a wyvern, and then of course there's all the new creatures that are out in Extinction and Aberration and all that just don't exist. They're not dinosaurs at all. So yeah, I think it's an interesting point, and I wonder why they decided to do that when they had a core dinosaur game. I mean, I remember this might be before you guys' time too, but like they would release these dossiers. They would kind of do a little hint to a dossier online before leading up to a patch, and you'd kind of get like a piece of a dossier and you'd look at it and you'd be like, okay, what dinosaur is coming out? They're going to release something new. What is this? And it was such an exciting time because then they'd release it and everyone would go out and try to tame it and try to find one. And granted, we only had one server at the time. There were no server transfers. So you just scour whatever server you were on and hope you'd find one, So it's definitely changed a lot since then.
Yeah, I've heard that. They're like released new dinosaurs every week, so there's always new content, new things to look forward to. And when it does get released, obviously, you're looking for all these dinosaurs. And I wonder if you miss a month and then there's 4 new dinosaurs. Yeah. It's not something. It's not something to you don't really miss out, because when you come back, it's loads of new things that has just happened, and then you can explore, find out all the different things. But yeah, definitely changed a lot. but with all this, do you think
Yeah.
people who choose Ark as their first game, or even at all in their YouTube channel, do you think they should choose a different path, or what would you say to them? Would you carry on going, or yeah?
I would say, I mean, everyone should make content with the games that they love. So no matter what you're playing, no matter what content you're making, as long as you love it. And that's kind of why I shifted away, is because it became really repetitive. Like, if there's something that can be done, at least up until the point where I slowed down with Ark, if there's something that could be done, I had done it, and I'd probably done it a dozen times, if not more.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I've so many times you start, like, see a small tribe series on like YouTube, and it's not really nothing new. It's just the same thing. You know, you do an XP run or something. It's kind of the same thing, but on a different server, and different things happen. It's just it's the exact same thing, but that's the reason why I've kind of gone off it a bit, because it's just the exact same thing. No matter what you do, even if you're solo in a tribe, it's the same kind of thing you're doing. And I don't really watch Ark content that much. I really don't. It's just because I just see the same thing every single video. It's the same thing, but in a different place, different things. Yeah. But what are your opinions on Ark now, though? Oh, unless.
Yeah. I was just to kind of add on to what you were just saying. I think one place, especially if you play on PC, mods really help make Ark a lot more enjoyable once you've done everything. Yeah. And
mods people make everything better.
It's true. So it gives you a lot more content, and granted, it's not changing things, like it's not going back to the core of Ark or anything, because there's all kinds of crazy creatures and overpowered creatures you can do on mods, but yeah, so I think mods can kind of make things interesting if you're doing a YouTube channel and you modded servers. I have a multiple modded series I've done through the years that still get views, and I still get comments every day, you know. So I think that's one thing that can help keep Ark fresh. I was going to actually say there's one thing that not a lot of people talk about with Ark that I think if they dumped resources into today, this might actually help Ark, like, just go crazy on the charts, on Steam charts. And that's survival of the fittest.
So it's basically like Fortnite but Ark version, isn't it? I swear
it's Battle Royale.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, they did that before anybody. Like, there was no PUBG was kind of the first Battle Royale, or at least
H1Z1 was sort of the first one that got
true.
recognized.
That's true. Yeah, H1Z1. And so they had this model and this concept, because it was all based actually around the Hunger Games. Because, you know, I don't know if you guys have ever played it, but it's pretty awesome. But it runs terribly because they never really worked on it, and it's really hard to even get a game today. You can try, but sometimes it takes a long time for a queue to develop.
I played it, and I don't know if this is just me, the quality is awful. It's literally pixels or something like that. Like,
and that's because they haven't worked on it in 4 years.
I played it for 20 minutes and I just went off straight away. So yeah, definitely, if they worked on it now, I think that would really take off. 100%.
I think it could, especially but they missed the boat, because if they would have done it a couple years ago when battle royales were really kicking off between Fortnite and PUBG, man, they could have been right up there. Because how many Ark players, you know, took time away from Ark by playing like PUBG or Fortnite? I know I did a ton. I don't even know. I probably have 1,500 hours in PUBG, and I would take breaks. I'd be taming something for hours, and then I'd be grinding something out on Ark, and I'd be like, oh, let's just jump off and play PUBG for, 2 or 3 games. And if I could have done that in an Ark setting, I absolutely would have done that.
Yeah, that'd actually be really cool, because, not many Battle Royale games, or I don't think there's any actually, where you can tame creatures at all, or like,
Not a single one, now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, so...
it'd be its sort of its own thing. I think it could bring up its player base actually if it had like an animal thing in it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just had a lot of elements that even today modern battle royales don't have, because you go off and you have to do a little bit of grinding. You have to build up, like, you can build up your weapons, you can try to you can build up your armor and all that, and then the time, just like in Hunger Games, like the your dome and the map kind of shrinks and kind of forces all the players closer together, and there's little things that happen where you have like sweltering heat and all that. So there's a lot of interesting mechanics that were involved with survival of the fittest that I think would do really well today.
Yeah, that'd actually be good, because obviously you've got like vehicles and stuff to get you about in other battle royales, but this one is like something alive, a pterodon, pteranodon, I don't know, but yeah. So pterodactyl, you got quetzals, you got different creatures that have their own things like gigas, obviously. So it'll be like, I think it'll be more of a challenge kind of. I think it will be harder than most battle royales, because things like Warzone that I'm proper grinding on right now, but I think it will definitely be more other.
And you didn't want to play Warzone at first.
That'll be really, really cool.
I think so too, and I actually don't think it would take that much time for them to actually make it more just perform better and look a lot better. They could bring over like the better engine and stuff that they've implemented over the last few years.
Yeah, because they all have the like same files, don't they? So they could just swap it over, couldn't they? Like just bring it over.
I mean, there's usually work involved with that, but they could leverage a lot of the same technology and definitely a lot of the same graphics and stuff that have already been created.
So what are your opinions on Ark right now then?
So I still watch some Ark content. I have
Did I say that already? Did I don't know. I don't know whether I said that already.
I don't remember. But no, I still watch some Ark content. There's I have a couple good friends, of course, that are other YouTubers that put out Ark content almost every day, and I still watch their channels, especially to support them. But I find them entertaining. So, but I'm not out looking for new Ark content. That's for sure.
You've actually sort of moved on to sort of different sort of games. So recently you did some CFP stuff, and before that you did some Star Wars.
Yeah, I've done pretty much just been kind of a variety player. Speaking about content creation, I started my channel based on Ark, and I had a good first year where I played Ark constantly. I probably put out 200 some odd videos in that first year, just on Ark, and then I got bored with Ark, and I kind of just decided to start shifting, and that's kind of where I found myself in the last couple of years. And it's definitely slowed down as far as my channel growth, but that's okay because I'm actually enjoying my time gaming more. So yeah, I've pretty much jumped around between, I play some single player games. I'm still playing some survival games like Green Hell and those, Conan. I've put a good bit of time in. Recently, I would say, I'm trying to put out a lot more content that's a little bit more educational or informational, where I kind of teach a tip on something, or I teach about something that people don't know much about.
Oh yeah, well, like the emissary update that you did about
for Sea of Thieves. I've done ones where I've tested the weapon damage, because the developers have actually, if you've ever played Sea of Thieves, there's only 4 weapons.
I've been looking at it. I've been looking at Sea of Thieves. It looks decent.
I really enjoy the game.
Yeah,
it's a great game.
I can put like hours at a time into it.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you might log in and say, "All right, I'll put an hour in. I'll do a quest or something," and then so many things happen along the way. Next thing you know, it's been like 3 hours, and you've had tons of fun.
I remember me and like 3 other friends. We were in this galleon, and we went off to a skeleton fort to do it, and there were like 5 other ships there. So what I did and what my friend did was we went into game chat and we basically just ran toward them, said team, and then so we got a share of the loot. And by the end of it, I think some more ships came along, and we had this like basically an armada of ships, right?
Nice.
Which was which was I think it was like the second time I played it, and it was basically when I was like, I really like this game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It is. It really is.
I've done some things where I log into just like I just kind of it's a fun game to kind of just sail around on. You don't even have to do anything. I mean, there's PvE things that happen in the game. You could just be sailing and like a megalodon attacks you, and you fight the megalodon, and it's a lot of fun. And but then I've logged in just to be like, I'm just gonna go do PvP, and I'll just look for any ship I can find, no matter if I'm by myself and I'm attacking a galleon, which is a 4-man ship.
Oh, is it like is it like servers then?
Yeah.
It...
So
okay.
basically, these servers, and so it's all the same map, and then there are these servers, and you just get put into a random one. And you can do it with friends, or whatever. But I think probably the best part about PvP and PvE is one, it's quite fun. It's really tactical, right?
Yes.
You've got to be very coordinated with your team, and you can just like form alliances with random people, and it's brilliant because, like I said, we ended up with like this armada of like 7 ships at one point.
Yeah. There's a lot of like, I would say tactical is a good word, because you can, there's times when you may be fighting a ship to ship with cannons, and there's times where you might hit them with a few cannons, and that they've got crew members down repairing their hull so they don't sink. And so one of you can shoot yourself over on a cannon and try to board them and make it like hard for them to repair their ship. So there's a lot of like tactics that goes into the game. It's a lot of fun.
I think. Oh, go on.
It seems a bit like Atlas a little bit, not completely. But...
Atlas. I remember a friend of mine who was like really likes Ark. Was like, "Oh yeah, this is coming out. You've never played Ark, so why don't you play this because this is sort of more your stuff." I've never actually played it yet.
I don't think. I looked at it and I really didn't want to play it. It looks cool at first, but then towards the end of it, everyone was just going back to Sea of Thieves and looking
at that. Sea of Thieves did it first, and Sea of Thieves did it better.
Yeah, that's true. And pirates. I mean, it's kind of like the dinosaur thing. I mean, everyone loves pirates. Like, it's so much fun. There's no rules basically. You can be a friendly pirate, or you can just be like, I'm a salty pirate today. I'm gonna go kill everybody I see, no questions asked.
Like Assassin's Creed brought out these the ship mechanics, and and there's no multiplayer to that. I mean, not to my knowledge, not to the ones I played, especially Odyssey. There's no multiplayer in that. But sometimes it's these ships, you just take them on, and you'll sink them, you'll board them, you'll get all the loot, whatever. But then other times it can pull like a surprise, and just like these will be like massively high levels, and you'll end up running from them. I remember that happened to me a few days ago. I was sailing an Assassin's Creed. I was like really annoyed because these I wanted to head to this fortress, but I couldn't like find it. I couldn't find it because there were these like really difficult guards, and I just couldn't take them on. So I was like, you know what, like, we'll take some loot from the ship. I started attacking it, didn't realise the level until I got hit, and it took out half my ship health.
You have ship levels?
Yeah, there are like different levels. You have different enemy levels and ship levels in Assassin's Creed.
You're talking Black Flag?
No, I'm talking Odyssey.
That's what I played.
The later.
Odyssey.
Okay.
The trailer for the new one came out, and I'm actually really excited.
I am too. It looks really fun.
Yeah, that trailer you showed me, it does look pretty cool, to be fair. I'm not sure if I'll play it, but it does look like a decent game.
I'm a kind of a huge sucker for Vikings, and there's Vikings in North something. Yeah.
Oh, did you play God of War?
I did. I didn't finish it, but I really loved it. It was a great game and a great story for sure. The thing I like about the way this new Assassin's Creed looks is the way it's actually about the Vikings, not about the Norse gods, kind of the way God of War was.
Yeah, even though Odin is in the trailer.
Odin is in the trailer, yeah. So they're gonna. Oh, who knows? Maybe they'll have more Norse gods kind of influence. But just the fact that it's all historically based, and my family's I'm American, but my family's Danish by heritage, and so like the Danes were like where all the Vikings were, and Denmark was, and so that kind of just, I don't know, resonates with me as like kind of my heritage a little bit.
It's really cool. I like the idea that it's going against I think it's something like King James. I think that was the monarch.
One of the kings. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like the idea how the armor's slightly more accurate to how it is, like, because usually it's portrayed shiny, all that. It wasn't like that. It was chainmail and leather, and it wasn't, you didn't have the sort of generic knight's armor that you see on like posters and stuff, right? In movies.
Yeah, like plate metal.
Have that. Yeah, they didn't have that for quite a period of time. So the armor that they have is really accurate to the time.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I'm excited for that game. So I've been getting into a little bit more of those like single player games, and there's, like I was saying, like my YouTube channel definitely has not grown as much due to switching away from Ark, but I'm starting to get more and more subscribers.
Yeah, that's kind of like my main fear actually, because I've been looking at switching over to Rust. But the main fear of everyone just going and then that slow kind of channel pace that just slows down a lot because you played Ark so much, everyone just expects you to do Ark, and then when you play something else, it just falls pretty much. That's
hard to get. It's hard to get growing. But then that's the same with a lot of different things. Besides cooking, I do not see any cooking channels. There's commentary channels which that like more of them show up. There's like every summer you'll get like 3 or 4 new channels that like get really popular.
Yeah.
I think, and then that sort of like means that there's sort of less room and it's harder to get recognized and stuff. So you've really got to you've either got to have really good content or you've got to put out a lot of decent content.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. I wouldn't recommend anyone switch to variety, including myself, even though I kind of have. But if you are really interested in, unless you already have an established channel because you've got an established user base. But that said, like a couple of my friends, if they have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And if they switched from their main game, their views would drop 90%, completely down, to almost nothing.
Yeah.
And I guess I'd rather do that at the beginning when I first am starting my channel, so that I kind of establish that from the beginning rather than building up a subscriber base that gets mad at you when you change your content.
Yeah, but then you've got to think that if it's at that point you're an entertainer. You've got to so do what you enjoy, whatever the case, and there will always be a community or like a set of people who will enjoy what you enjoy.
It's just that like changing period where you're going from one game to variety. I think that's the opposite way, like variety to one game or something like that. It's just that slow transformation.
Danny, you sort of started going into that because you have your random game Friday or whatever, the street game Friday, which is like the beginner's guide. So you've done beginner's guide, and then you've done there is like every other day you're streaming Warzone. So you went from a period of time where if I scroll down to your channel page, it would just be Ark and maybe a really anticlimactic Slenderman video, and then but now you're doing like lots of different games. You're sort of going around. And earlier today you got like 5 random Steam codes, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you're really sort of transitioning quite a bit to going into variety. So like that, you're not as established with your fan base. So you're probably in like a really good position to maybe swap to variety.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to do now is slowly get players looking at my other content and get them used to me not just playing Ark.
Yeah.
And then once that's sort of understood by other players and not many people are just shouting at me saying play Ark or something like that, then I think that'll be a good time to fully switch to variety. I think That's my plan right now.
Yeah, I mean that's probably a good way to do it. Just start slowly mingling in content that's not Ark. Yeah,
and so far it's working. I think it is quite working pretty well. People are all right with it. They are tuning into other content that I produce. So
it's definitely, yeah. I'm just looking at like different things, and like I'm just looking at your channel now, and on your Ark videos you're getting like a few thousand views, maybe in the hundreds, right? But then for like some of the other ones, you did a granny video with like 58 views and 5 months.
Yeah.
58 views. It's now sort of picking up pace where you're sitting around the 50 to 80, 100 view thing. You know, your CS:GO stream did 135 views, and that's quite good considering it's more of a sudden transition from the Ark stuff that is getting about 1,000, maybe less views.
Yeah. I think that's everything, isn't it? I think we've covered most of the things.
I have one question, just one more.
Yeah.
What's the how come your name's NoPlayJack?
Oh yeah, I wondered that actually.
NoPlayJack. Well, have you ever heard the saying "all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy"?
Oh yeah.
No.
That's what it came from. I basically was just trying to think of a name for my channel when I was first starting it, and I was like, I kind of came up with the idea of all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, and it just kind of came up with NoPlayJack. It's kind of silly, but it's kind of just at least where my mind went when I was trying to come up with names.
Yeah, my I don't think my name's any better, to be fair. Just to like talk about random stuff. But yeah, it's been good. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate it. Everyone, if you're still listening, go check out my channel, youtube.com/NoPlayJack.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description. I'll put yours. And yeah, peace.